I'm Evelyn Lee, and I'm running for First Vice President, President-elect. I'm recording this video for you from my home during my peak productivity hours, also known as the time after my kids have gone to sleep when I have no meeting commitments and can actually get work done. My heart goes out to all the volunteer leaders who have been wearing more hats than usual these last few years. As architects and leaders in the American Institute of Architects, wearing multiple hats is nothing new. After all, we are problem solvers and systems thinkers, reimagining new solutions, often bringing together conflicting parties in the process. We are also human, and that means change doesn't come easy for us. But by working together, burdening the responsibility of change becomes lighter and can even position us to be a catalyst for change. I was shown the importance of community collaboration and lifting one another up in high school. Homecoming day, my sophomore year, my dad told me about my mother's leukemia diagnosis and that it was recommended that she sought treatment out of state. As my parents lived most of my mom's recovery a plane flight away, others opened their doors, giving my brother and me a place to stay. The church kicked off what seemed to be an endless meal train, and by homecoming my senior year, I was lucky enough to have both of my parents back at home. There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, but it also goes without saying that as a community, it is easier to shoulder the responsibility of supporting others when they need to adapt. Every single person who helped my family adapt during that time was inspirational to my commitment to a lifetime of volunteer leadership. We've spent the last few years adapting to a world that continues to demand us to change. Now is the time for us to collectively step in and be the change we want to see in the world. There's a lot of good transitions that are happening within the Institute. We have a new executive director and first VP. We are putting sustainability to practice through our AIA headquarters renewal project. We have money to invest in new ventures to support endowment of future AIA activities. But there is always room for improvement, and our AIA strategic plan calls for us to be that catalyst. I believe we can be that catalyst by creating a more connected member experience. Early in the pandemic, the AIA initiated a COVID-19 task force that resulted in a care site checklist that was featured in the New York Times and later translated by the State Department into Spanish, French, and Portuguese. I want to create more opportunities to connect the member experience, to bring together our expertise to continue to solve these problems for our global community on a more regular basis. I also believe we can be a catalyst by strengthening our commitments to climate action and social justice. The publication of the AIA's Climate Action Plan, along with the Framework for Design Excellence, are examples of steps we have taken towards being climate action leaders. The AIA Board of Directors, in partnership with other architecture organizations, including NOMA, adopted a framework to address systemic racial injustice and inequity. I want to continue to live into the commitments we've made in these areas and ensure the implementation of change. Finally, we can be catalysts by re-envisioning the role of the architect in the future. How many of you have classmates from school that landed in a different industry? Our ability to grow and influence and help the public better understand that the way architects think is good for business grows by finding ways to re-engage these individuals and beginning to reimagine our own role as architects. With opportunity comes a lot of work, and it's not something that one person can create on their own, and it takes more than 2 years to see it through. That's why I've spent the last 5 years of service on the national board planting the seeds to enable the largest design organization in the world to be the catalyst for change. Design for me has never been the glossy magazine cover design. It's been a more democratic approach to design. Through the practice of architecture and the podcast Practice Disrupted, I am constantly working to provide thoughtful and meaningful content around how architects and firms of all sizes can rethink their careers and business models. In my day-to-day work at Slack and Salesforce, I use my architecture background with my MBA and my MPA to design the process, operations, and policies that enable our employees to be not only productive, but happy in their jobs. In each case, my work starts with listening to the needs of architects and listening to the needs of our employees. I look forward to continuing to learn what you as volunteer leaders need in order for us to be the catalyst for change. My name is Evelyn Lee, and I would be truly honored to serve you as the 100th president of the AIA. Thank you so much for your consideration.